Welcome to the premiere episode of MLW Vault. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm your host, Baylan. So excited to bring you episode number 1 of this brand new fan podcast, all about Major League Wiffle Ball, the Wiffle Ball League put on by Kyle Schultz and Tommy Coughlin, based in Southern Michigan. You can watch all of their videos on YouTube. They have a new season every single summer, and every year the videos just keep getting better and better. A little bit about me. My name is Baylan. I am a senior in high school. I'm 18, and I've been a huge diehard fan of MLW since the 2020 season. Actually, my first little memory about MLW and this wiffle ball league is I was doing online school. Of course, trying to pay attention, supposed to pay attention. And I came across a video of the 2020 opening day series between the Eastern Eagles and Pacific Predators, and I just watched it, because I was bored, supposed to be paying attention. And I think I got on and watched the entire 2020 season within the course of 2 days, just because I was so invested and hooked from that point. So, I've just been a huge fan. I've been wanting to start this show for a very long time, and just recently I've had a ton of ideas for brand new episodes. So, why not do this now? So I'm super excited to bring you this. And our first episode, of course, it's gonna be a little controversial, I think, for some people, but we are going over, in my opinion, the top 10 MLW players of all time. I put a lot of thought into this. I put a lot of research last night, going over the MLW website, going over all these players, where they are, all-time hits, home runs, what they've won in their awards, or what they've won in their careers, or World Series, everything, in my opinion, to try to gather the 10 best players in league history. That is going to be today's episode. Before we get started, a little bit about this new show. Starting off, there's no real uploading schedule. I just have a ton of episode ideas. I think I'm just going to do them when I want. In the near future, I want to do rebuilding episodes of at least the Great Lakes Skaters, because it's nearly impossible. It seems like an impossible task, but we're going to try to tackle it. I think we're also going to do the Gators and the Cobras too. So we're going to do rebuilding episodes, but a lot of the show is going to be styled around hot seat style questions, all from the point of view of a diehard fan. So yeah, ladies and gentlemen, I'm pretty excited to do this. I'm excited to hear what you guys think of my list. So yeah, but before we get started, we're going to go into a little segment every episode at the beginning, which is just around the league of what's going on at MLW at this time. So that is next on MLW Vault. All right, so before we get started, going to go over a little around the league segment here. Right now, we are in the kind of early stages of the offseason, kind of closing the book of the 2023 season. In October, we watched the Metro Magic miraculously win the World Series over the Eastern Eagles, coming back from an 0-2 deficit. And so from this point on, it's really just like the season highlights and the top 10 plays and one-shotting moments, and kind of those series of videos now leading up to the award show. And I was patiently waiting for the ballot to drop, and it did release on January 3rd. So it is official that voting for the 2023 MLW Awards is now open. There's only open for a short amount of time. It closes on January 11th. So I put the top link in the description for the form in the description of this episode. So if you have not voted yet, be sure to do that. I think I might make a little episode. I've already filled out the ballot, but I might make another account to kind of record my thought process between all of the winners of each award, because I think I can offer a pretty good kind of point of view from it. So if you have not voted for the ballot yet, like I said, that is a top link in the description of the episode. I think in the second link is the MLW YouTube channel. Got to subscribe. If you're not subscribed, I don't know what you're doing. And then I have a little form at the bottom. We'll get to that later. So, yeah, all right, ladies and gentlemen, now let's around the league. Without further ado, let's jump into the top 10 MLW players of all time. That's next. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's settle in here and begin the top 10 MLW players of all time. Now, before we get in at number 10, I'd like to say a little PSA. I think this is going to be brought up a ton, and I think this is a very valid point when creating a top 10 list, is you just want to keep in mind of the importance in MLW about the pre-draft era and the post-draft era. So the pre-draft was from seasons 2010 to 2019, and the post-draft is 2020 to 2000 to this completed 2023 season. So I am a very strong believer that every single year the league continues to get better and better. That like every team is just they're getting better and better players. Their pitching's better. They keep getting better at hitting, and that's why, in my opinion, I think the Gators are getting worse is because they're like getting stagnant. But I honestly believe that any post-draft team, maybe discluding 2020 because that was a little bit of a transition year, but I actually believe that any single team from 2021 could beat any team from 2019 and 2010. And I would say, I would include 2020 into the post-draft era. Um, but I don't I it's a conversation, but I think the 2019 Preds could probably beat the 2020 or the 2022 Magic. Um, it's up there. It's an interesting conversation. But I just think it's very, very important to keep in mind the pre-draft and post-draft importance for all of these players. So here you go. Without further ado, number 10. This player was the hardest for me to decide because I had a group of 9 guys that I think deserved to be on this list without a doubt. And the 10th, I went between a couple players. But this, it still could, I'd be down. I'm interested to see what this player is for most people. But at number 10 all time, I have Zach Whalen of the Eastern Eagles right now. His career began in 2016 and he just played in 2023. So 2016 to present, he has played 8 years, been on 3 teams. We know him as the Eagles, but he started his career with the Cobras in 2016, then played a year with the Cats in 17, and then was with the Eagles from 2018 up to their World Series runner-up run in 2023. So all-time, Zach Whalen is 22nd for home runs, 21st for hits. Wasn't that big of a pitcher, so pitching wins don't really count to his name. And he is the 2027 most improved player and the 2023 All-Star. But a big thing about Zach Whalen is he has 0 World Series wins. So compared to other people that I have on this list, his resume really isn't that impressive. And I mean, there are a couple players that I think could make a case for Zach Whalen's spot at number 10. I mean, just off the top of my mind, going into post-draft era, I think maybe Jonah Heath. But then I mean, you could look at players in the pre-draft like Ryan Gable, who could be up there as he has a pretty impressive numbers in the all-time home run and hits department. So, but nonetheless, I think Zach Whalen is still one of the most underrated players in the league. He's such a massive part for the Eagles. I have an episode idea later of doing all-time MLW teams of like each team, and I think without a doubt Zach Whalen is a core member of the all-time Eastern Eagles. A big part that scares me about him is he has 0 World Series wins. He's played in at least 2 off the top of my head, and both with the Eagles in 2023. So I mean, he's very, very solid player, goes very, very under the radar. I just think he doesn't make like those like splash plays for people to really remember him. Like he doesn't hit like the walk-off home run, or he doesn't like pitch the shutout victory, but he will get on base. And the Eagles are such a team that can rally around each other, especially this year. And I think he is just a very, very core member of that team. So at number 10, I have Zach Whalen in the top 10 MLW players of all time. Okay, at number 9, I have none other than the third member of the Schultz, Brendan Schultz, at number 9 all time. He had an illustrious 10-year career from 2010 to 2020. Played with 2 teams, played with the Eastern Eagles with his brother Daniel forever from 2010 to 2018, and then closed his career out with the Coastal Cobras for the final 2 years. He has some impressive numbers to his name. He is 6th all-time in home runs at 82, 9th all-time in pitching wins, and 5th all-time hits at 267. And he does have a ton of accolades to his name. 2-time Gold Glove, 2010, 2012, 2011 Most Clutch, 2010 Most Improved, a 2-time All-Star in 2010, 2012, and 1 World Series win with the 2016 Eagles. Now, again, this is kind of like a spot where I could see another name here. I just think the longevity of him playing 10 years is good enough to like stay relevant in the league for 10 years. I think being with the Eagles, I think kind of hurt him because we know kind of infamously they only have that one World Series win. So to his name, Brendan Schultz does only have one World Series. But I mean, just a very long, very good career. I mean, he's top 10 in all of the all-time home runs, pitching wins, and hits. So I think you got to be top 10 all-time if that is the case. Yes, you can argue that all of his awards, like his Gold Gloves, Most Clutch, Most Improved, and All Stars, are when there was just two teams, or I think the Cardinals joined in 2012, but when it was mostly just the Wildcats and Eagles. But nonetheless, was playing good wiffle ball at the time. So at number 9, we have Brendan Schultz in our all-time top 10 list. But this is where it starts to get pretty interesting and where the debates can pick up. So at number 8, could be a little low for some people, but I have Drew Davis of the Coastal Cobras at number 8, the MLW all-time top 10 list. He started his career in 2016, and he is still playing in 2023, has spent all of the 8 years of his career with the Coastal Cobras, and definitely has a resume on himself. He is 11th all-time in home runs at 47. He is 5th all-time in pitching wins at 35 and 12th all-time at base hits at 126. He won the 2019 Silver Slugger Award, was the Rookie of the Year when he joined in 2016, and is just a ball hawk out there as he won the 2020 Gold Glove. I think could have won it in 2022. And then he was the 2017 most dedicated, and surprising for me because I have a little bit to say about Drew Davis and how he manages, but he has won 2 Manager of the Year awards. In 2017 when he took his Cobras to the World Series, and 2022 where they also made another World Series. Ultimately ended up losing both of them, but Drew Davis is also an 8-time All-Star from 2016 to 2023. Every single year of his career, I think he's one of 3 players in MLW history to have made the All-Star game every single year he's been in their career. And just to cap off his impressive 2017 season, he won the Home Run Derby. But the haunting number at the bottom of the list, 0 World Series wins for Drew Davis. Lost in 2017 to the Mallards and 2022 to the D-backs. Of course, the infamous blowing the 2-0 lead to the Ducks in 17. Davis never really, I think, that's just really been haunting the Cobras and their entirety of the team, because joining in 2016, making the World Series in 2017, saying, okay, hey, we're here for real in our second year, and then to absolutely choke to Tommy Coughlin and Noah Dabico for that team. Then it was kind of a low spark, nothing crazy happened, and then they win the regular season championship in 2022 and make it to the World Series at SoFi Stadium, where they ultimately did not win a game. So I think in a ton of professional sports careers, you have to grade them on how well they play when it really, really matters. And we've seen Drew Davis as a great manager. We've seen him as a great player, but when it comes down to the nitty gritty, it can't come up with it. And the Cobras, after making it to the World Series, they choked and missed out on the postseason in 2023. I think we'll talk about the Cobras more later if we do a rebuilding episode around them. But it's the Cobras are so tough because with Drew Davis as the manager, clearly he knows what he's doing, as you know, he's won the award twice in his career. His managing style requires such a specific type of player, and I think there are honestly players on the Cobras that just don't fit Drew Davis and what he's building around the Cobras. Like Andy Durand, although in my opinion how overrated Durand is, he fits with Drew Davis and the Coastal Cobras. Sean Flynn fits with Drew Davis and the Cobras. Sawyer Bean fits with Davis and the Cobras. Brendan Baranowski, one of the best pitchers in MLW today. I don't know if he fits. So, well, that's just on the Cobras, but 7th or 8th all-time. I think it's very safe to put Drew Davis there. Has had an illustrious career, 5th all-time pitching wins, great on the mound. Clearly knows what he's doing manager-wise. Has made, been there for a couple infamous mistakes, but shows a lot of personality, and I think in the league that is very helpful, but just so special for him to have been one of only 3 players to have made the All-Star game in every single season of his career. That is very, very special. We should not overlook that. So that is Drew Davis at number 8. And at number 7, all-time, I have Mr. Noah Daboko. His career ran from 2014 to 2020, 7 years long. Kind of bounced around early on in his career, played with the Western Wildcats for 2 years in 2014 and 15, then a single season with the Seahawks in 2016, and then closed out his final 4 seasons of his career with the Midwest Mallards, winning a World Series. He has just a ton of stuff to his name. He honestly could have been higher, but we'll again talk about the post-draft, pre-draft importance. But he is 5th all-time at home runs at 85, 12th all-time pitching wins, and 6th all-time hits. He's just at the plate was just a consistent threat no matter what. And he has an MVP under his name in 2017, won the MVP that year, including the Silver Slugger and most clutch. All in his actually 2017 was one of the greatest, arguably one of the greatest single season performances we've seen by Daboko and by the Mallards, because they won a World Series that year. Daboko was a World Series MVP that year. And along that, he won the most clutch, Silver Slugger, and overall MVP. So Daboko, an incredible season there. But the thing is that all of these awards he has are just spread out around his entire career. As he won the most improved twice. He is a 5-time All-Star in 2013 and then 16 through 19. Won 2 World Series MVPs, but even more impressive, he has won 3 World Series. That in its own there's only been 14 World Series in MLW history. Daboko has 3 to his name, as he won 2 with the Wildcats back-to-back in 2014 and 15. And then, of course, the Mallards beating Drew Davis and the Cobras in 2017. So Daboko, like I said, I'd call myself, I guess, an expert, but I'm very, very well known in the recent years of MLW. In the draft era, I would say I've watched every video of the draft era at least twice. I mean, at least twice from the seasons 2020 and 2023. So I never really watched Noah Daboko that closely. Until it was that short 2020 season for the Mallards when they choked and didn't make the playoffs. But nonetheless, Noah Daboko, one of the all-time Mallards, probably the second best Mallard all-time, arguably number 1. But I think that right obviously is for Tommy. But Noah Daboko, one of the best. I want to go back and kind of watch him in the 2017 season. I want to see him win the World Series. As that was definitely could go down as one of the greatest single season performances of all time in MLW history. Okay, moving right along here. We are at number 6 all time. Now, this player had years and years and years of doing nothing, of finding 0 success, but of lately, I think is one of the best players in the league, one of the best hitters in the league. And at number 6 all time, I have Mr. Alec Warda. He joined the league way back in 2013, has played 11 seasons with the Pacific Predators, and his career numbers are astonishing. He's one of the best of all time. 4th all-time in home runs, over 100 and 104, 6th all-time pitching wins, and 4th all-time hits. It's weird because you don't really think with the Preds team nowadays, you have Cratch and McGlade in the kind of rotation. Warder doesn't pitch anymore, but in his glory days from 2013 up to before they got Cratch, I mean, he was pitching two times to once a game or once a series. So Warda, 6 all-time in pitching wins at 18. And his accolades: 2014 Silver Slugger, 2016 Gold Glove, most clutch twice in 2015 and 19, won most dedicated 3 times, 2013, 19, and 21, was a 14 most improved player, 2018 Manager of the Year, and a 10-time All-Star from 2014 to 22. He's only 2 years of his career that he's missed out, and that was his first year in 2013, and most recently in 2023 did not get enough votes. And he has 1 World Series win under his belt in the 2019 Preds. I mean, Warda is he is the Pacific Predators. He is the greatest all-time Pred, I think, without a doubt. That's it's not even a conversation. And I mean, a lot of his stuff has been pre-draft, but he has held his name in the recent years of MLW. He's definitely proved himself as a hitter. I remember a move where he kind of demoted himself from manager to co-manager with Ryan Cratch, as both of them now kind of run the managing side of the Predators. And I mean, this team it's just always been one of my favorite teams to watch. I think Ryan Cratch is the best player in MLW, and I think he's the best player coming in 2024. I think he should win MVP again, back to back. But I think when you think the Preds, you think Alec Warda. And definitely without a doubt, his longevity. Of course, if you've seen the documentary about the Preds when they won it all in 2019, he had years of nothing. 2013, worse year. 14, bad. He won, what did he win? 2014, most improved. So again, 2013, just a bad year. 2014 had a good year, won Silver Slugger and most improved, and was an all-star. But really, is kind of the late 2010s is when he really started to pick up his team. Surprised he didn't win Manager of the Year in 2019. Taking when they traded for Ryan Cratch, which was probably the greatest trade in MLW history, for the Preds, just because of how much of a good player he's turned into. But Ryan Crouch, I confirm he's later on the list, but without a doubt, Alec Warda had to be on the list. Has some great accolades to his name. Top 5 in all-time home runs and hits. One of the best one of the best hitters in MLW history. Has an infamous walk-off. I'm not sure if it was a walk-off, but when they won the World Series in 2019 after years of going nowhere, it's just I am a little scared because we have not seen the Preds in the World Series since. I still, every year they always make a push, and every year I think they're always seem like they're part of the Final Four somehow, playing in the ALCS every single year, but just comes up short. So Alec Warda, nonetheless, one of the best at number 6. Now at number 5, this is probably the most controversial placement for a player, just because of how much of like my generation of people, my kind of audience that I'm in of MLW has watched the seasons 2021 and 2023 like a hawk. And this player has been dominating it. And at number 5, I have Jimmy Norp. Initially, I was like, ooh, he's probably behind Kyle. He's probably at number 2. It's like, ooh, that's high, maybe number 3. I think there are 4 players that are all-time better than Jimmy Norp. So I have him overall at number 5. His career has lasted 4 years. He joined in 2020, has, of course, played all 4 years with the Downtown Diamondbacks. Of course, his numbers aren't super high. He's 24th all-time home runs, 25th all-time hits, but 8th all-time pitching wins already with 4 years. But what he has done in the years of Jimmy Norp and the Diamondbacks' dominance is just unbelievable. He is one of the, I think I think it's a group of 4 players that have made the All-Star game every single season of their career, not including like rookies in 2 years. And Jimmy Norp is one of them. So, really, starting in 2021, he has just absolutely exploded. He won the Most Valuable Player in 2021, along with the Cy Young and the Silver Slugger and the Gold Glove and the Most Clutch, and the World Series MVP and an All-Star. And even 2020 won the Most Dedicated, and followed it up 2022 with his second Gold Glove, his second Most Clutch, another All-Star, another World Series MVP, and of course another World Series for him. So Jimmy Norp, what he has done in his time is unheard of. Winning 2 World Series and winning both of them being his World Series MVP. Shocked that he has never won a Manager of the Year yet, because he took his team back to back in draft era. And so that kind of leads to my point that I think Jimmy Norp could go down as the greatest MLW player of all time. I think that is very much a possible thing. It's just think if he has a 12-year career. Like, I'm not sure how old he is, but at least another. So I've done 4, at least another 6, 7 years. I mean, I think he's projected to win 4 or 5 World Series, and in an age where it keeps getting harder. Sorry, in an age where MLW keeps getting, just more and more competitive. he just gets better and better with it. And of course, we saw cracks in the Diamondbacks in the regular season of 2022, where they went 2-7 in the first half and 5-10 overall. Ultimately, what it matters, because they went on to win the World Series. But then in 2023, getting shocked, getting stunned by the Eagles in the NLDS. Eagles would go on to win the NL and go on to the World Series. So Jimmy Norp, I think a little piece of Jimmy Norp died when Michael Shima did retire. And I mean, I'll have an episode coming out why I think the Diamondbacks, as we know them, like their era is ultimately over with the departure of Michael Shima. But nonetheless, at number 5, I have Jimmy Norp. Rapidly climbing, though. I think he could be 3 within the next couple of years. All right, so with Jimmy Norp at number 5, number 4 also could turn some heads, but I think I have a good reason to back it up why I believe that Daniel Schultz is number 4 all-time in Major League Football history. Of course, he is one of the alumni players. Career 2010, started it in 2010, has played 14 seasons with the Eagles. I mean, his accolades are, of course, incredible. I think he could go down as one of the greatest pitchers of all time in MLB history. But he is second all-time at home runs at 141, ahead of Tommy Coughlin, second all-time pitching wins, and third all-time hits. Of course, everybody knows Dirty Dan, leader of the Eagles. And he has an MVP to his name in 2015, a 4-time Cy Young in 14, 16, 18, and 19. Has won most clutch twice in 2010 and 2016, won most dedicated twice in 2011 and 12, and an 11-time All-Star, which is a sad thing that he made the All-Star game in 2010, didn't in 11 and 12, and then went on a 10-year streak from 2013 to 2022 of making the All-Star game. And that 10-year streak was snapped in 2023 when he did not get enough votes. I mean, I don't blame him. I think Daniel, of course, is a manager, but in today's Eagles, he just simply plays a role player. But he was the 2016 World Series MVP, the first year that the Eagles won the World Series. And a little cherry on top, won the Home Run Derby in 2014. So he's a one-time World Series champ with the 2016 Eagles, but he has played in 6 World Series and lost in 5 of them. So he lost in 2010, 2000, which is definitely 2011, but 2014, 15, 19, and of course recently 2023. So with all of those, you think, no, Daniel Schultz is top 3. The top 3 are Kyle, Tommy, and Dan. But I have to offer, be a devil's advocate here. Daniel Schultz just honestly hasn't really performed in the draft era of MLW. He's managed his team very, very well. I think the Eagles are one of like the most chemistry with the team. I think they're one of the most complete teams, top to bottom. I was surprised just because they're not necessarily. I don't really view the Eagles as like a powerhouse in the National League, but I wasn't very surprised that they made the World Series. I think they definitely had what it took, and I think my prediction was that they were going to win it. I just think because the Magic were a little bit too new that Eagles would win in 4 games. But I mean, I was very, very wrong. But like I said, love Daniel Schultz, but he has not done a lot in the draft era. He has 0 accolades just besides making all-star games, but no Cy Youngs, no clutches, no dedicates, no made the World Series, but hasn't won any, hasn't won a home run derby. His pitching has really fallen off. Like he's just fell off the side of the world for a little bit on the mound. I mean, I still, view him as like their game one, but we didn't see Daniel Schultz pitch for the like majority of the 2023 season. The Eagles rotation was, of course, led by Dallas Allen and Blade Walker. So, I mean, if he's not pitching, he's still, I don't know if he's their best hitter. I think Dallas Allen is overall the best player on that team. But I mean, he's still a very much role player. Plays a major part in the manager. Has never won a manager of the year. But Daniel Schultz, still, what he's accomplished. I mean, top 3 in home runs, pitching wins, and hits all time. Has got to be a spot up there. I think he could have been above my number 3 player if he would have won the World Series in 2023. But he sadly did not. So the real reason why Daniel Schultz is at 4 and my number 3 player is at 3 is just the deciding factor that he ultimately has not performed in the draft era when MLW is just getting better and better. It feels like he's kind of stayed in the same spot. Like if 2023 Dan played in 2017, would have been one of the best players, would have been an MVP caliber player. But since his game is still how it is in 2023, that is why concerns come up to my just come up and why I think he's overall at number 4. And this is why I think that Ryan Cratch is the number 3 greatest MLW player of all time. I'm very high on Ryan Cratch. I think he should win back-to-back MVPs. I think he is the best player in the league, most talented, best pitcher, arguably the best hitter. But he has had an illustrious career. He has played 9 years, started with Dan and the Eagles in 2015, and then halfway through the 2019 season, he got shipped over to the Pacific Predators, where he would pretty much carry them to a World Series that year when he got to run his own rotation. But overall, Ryan Cratch is 9th all-time in home runs, 4th all-time in pitching wins, and 7th all-time in hits. Like I said, should be the MVP in 2023, but he has 2 MVPs to his name in 2019 and 2022. He was the Cy Young, shockingly only one Cy Young in 2020, but he was the 2015 Rookie of the Year, 2016 Most Dedicated, 2019 Most Improved, and a 7-time All-Star, 2-time Home Run Derby champ, back-to-back in 2022 and 2023, and then, of course, 2 World Series to his name, as he was a part of that 2016 Eastern Eagles team and the 2019 Pacific Predators. So, like I said with Daniel Schultz, why I think these 2 players are at 3 and 4 all time, but why Ryan Cratch is ahead of him is he has somehow gotten better every single year, and you don't know how he'll get better at pitching and how he'll hit more home runs, but he does. It's almost to a point where I don't think he's definitely like a trademark pred, but I feel like they're kind of holding him back because Russell is way over his head. I think he's a little overrated. That one. Warda is a hitter. I mean, what Warda supplies to the Predators is like the most important out of all of them. And McGlade in that game 2 pitcher, but I mean, Cratch is really these days he is the Pacific Predator, right? Like he is the guy that they go to. He's their best hitter, best pitcher. So Ryan Cratch is number 3 all time. Like I said, I think he should win the MVP in 2023. And I mean, the Preds are so close to creating a dynasty. I think they're truly one piece away from arguably winning back-to-back World Series MVPs. Or I mean, just World Series, because they were my pick coming into the 2023 season. I had Mallards over Preds in 5. And I mean, I still think the American League just is so wide open every single year. Like in the NL, I think there has been multiple times over the past 2 or 3 seasons where the 3 best teams, like in the power rankings for myself, the 3 best teams in the league have been the Diamondbacks, Mallards, and Eagles, and those are all 3 in the NL. So it's just proof to the point with how kind of wide open the American League is and how different the year depends. Like the Cobes out of nowhere, like sandwiched by seasons of missing on the playoffs, they then suddenly win the regular season championship. And the Magic, after winning what feels like 4 games over the span of 3 years, they just win the World Series in the American League. So I think the Pacific Predators definitely have what it takes to win a World Series in today's MLW. And I think, of course, that starts with Ryan Cratch, but they're definitely one piece away from a draft pick. So Daniel Schultz at number 4, Ryan Cratch at number 3. All right, so after a little bit of controversy from spots 4, 5, 4, and 3, I think there should be a universal spots number 2 and number 1. So at number 2, I have the man himself, Mr. Thomas Coughlin III. His career started in 2010, went through 2019 for 4 years, then took a little bit of a break, and then returned in 2017 with the Ducks, won a World Series then, and then has played up to the 2023 season for 11 years. Started with the Cats in 2010 and through 2013. Wow. And then with the Mallards from 2017 up to present. Of course, just a ridiculous resume for him. Third all time in home runs at 121, third all time in pitching wins at 59, and second all-time hits at 524. He won the MVP award in 2012, was a two-time Cy Young in 2011 and 2017, was the 2010 Silver Slugger, and won the Gold Glove for 3 years in a row at 2011, 12, and 13, along with most clutch in 2012 and 2018, most dedicated. And he's one of 4 players in MLW history to have made the All-Star game every single year of his career, including the little break he took, as he is an 11-time All-Star. Something pretty special here with Tommy. He is a 4-time World Series champ. Won in 2010, 2011, 2012 with the Wildcats, and then the lone World Series win for the Mallards in 2017. So, of course, Tommy at number 2. I initially, at the beginning, had Ryan Cratch at number 2, but I still think Tommy deserves to be a good spot there. At number 2 all time. I think right now in today's age of MLW, I think with like true fans that like are true fans, not just like watch one series, but I think it's a consensus that the Mallards are the best team in the league. They're just missing a little bit of I don't know, like execution almost, just something. I mean, they've lost back to back NLCS to the Diamondbacks and to the Eagles. And I mean, you can clearly see how much Tommy cares about it. You can see how hungry Jordan Robles is. Um, but I mean, I don't. There's clearly something wrong. There's something missing by the Mallards. But I'm really not sure what it is. So I kind of want to dive into this team in the offseason to really see what they're missing. um, but of course, nonetheless, Tommy Coughlin at number 2 all time. He is one of the players that I think has gotten better through time. He is just one of the best hitters right now in the league, although he went into a little bit of a skid there in the second half of the 2023 season. But of course, hitting 4 bombs in the Philly series was pretty special for him. And I mean, we're everybody kind of rooting for the Mallards. They were bad for a long time. And I mean, something's got to change clearly because they're not really winning World Series yet. But I think they're that one kind of step away. So, Tommy Coughlin, I think a possible World Series ring and Manager of the Year is possibly in his future. I think he had a shot to winning the 2023 Silver Slugger, but I don't think that's the case anymore. So, Tommy Coughlin at number 2. And of course, number 1, I'm sorry, I'm down to take some criticism for my spots 10 to 2, maybe 10 to 3. But if you are out of your mind, if you do not think Mr. Kyle Schultz is the greatest MLW player of all time, I mean, it's not a conversation. He is first all time in home runs, first all time in pitching wins, and first all time in hits. Of course, he's played 14 years with the Cats since 2010. He is the commissioner. He has won the MVP 7 times in 2010, 11, 13, 14, 16, 18, and 2020, a 5-time Cy Young. Something no other player did. He won it in 2010 and then went on a 4-year Cy Young streak from 2012 to 2015, a 4-time Silver Slugger, 2 times Gold Glove, and I think he should be the 2023 Gold Glove. 2-time most clutch, 2-time most dedicated, 14-time All-Star. He is one of those players that I talk about is every in the All-Star game every year of his career, and 3-time World Series MVP, 4-time Home Run Derby champ, and 6-time World Series champ. All 6 with the Wildcats in 2010, 2011, 2012, 2014, 2015, and 2018. Kind of an interesting little fact here. Kyle Schultz, in the 14 World Series that have happened in Major League Football history, Kyle Schultz has been featured in 10 of them, which is just unbelievable. I mean, I think you can make a little bit of a case about post-draft, pre-draft accolades for him, but if you watch every video of Kyle Schultz, he is still one of the best players in the league. He's without a doubt the best Wildcat. I'm going to make a video closer to opening day about the top 10 best players that are coming into the 2024 season. And I think Kyle Schultz should, of course, be up there. He's just a guaranteed all-star. You can bet on him hitting a home run once a series, probably at least twice. And you are wrong if Kyle Schultz is not your greatest MLW player of all time. The Wildcats have always been one of my favorite teams to watch because of course in the series or the seasons that I've watched really closely, they haven't been crazy dominant. And I mean, I kind of like teams that are like that, how they've really kind of got to fight for wins, and that's how you see the teams that are really have what it takes to win it all. But the Wildcats, I mean, they haven't had a ton of success in the past 2 years. Yes, they made the World Series in 2021, but since that point, they did not make the CS in the past 2 years. They've made the playoffs, which I mean, they're a playoff lock almost every time. But I mean, if you listen to the Pipe It Up podcast, Tommy Coughlin is also kind of thinks that the Wildcats need a little bit of a fresh air. I love the team that Kyle has put together. I think they need a for sure number 2 arm, and that doesn't kind of switch out every series, right? Saylor pitched for a while, Jackson Pearson pitched for a little bit. I think you could get Liam Jackson back into it, and I think that was a good trade for him. But I mean, nonetheless, this team is going to be led by Kyle Schultz. And you got Nick Saylor, who is trying to go back to his 2021 glory days, where he hit, 14 home runs in a season, which is unbelievable. But nonetheless, ladies and gentlemen, Kyle Schultz is your greatest MLW player of all time. So running through my list, once again, at number 10, we had Zach Whalen. Number 9, Brendan Schultz. Number 8, Drew Davis. Number 9, Noah Davrico. Number 6, Alec Warden. Number 5, Jimmy Norp. Number 4, Daniel Schultz. Number 3, Ryan Cratch. Number 2, Tommy Coughlin. And number 1, Mr. Kyle Schultz. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have listened to this whole thing and you think you have an opinion about the top 10 list, I am linking a form in the second link in the description of this episode. The second one is a feedback form, and I want to hear what you think about my list and possibly what your list is. I'll look through them and then maybe in the next episode go over that form if there are any if there's any feedback on it. But ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, that's going to wrap it up. The top link in the description of this episode is the ballot. Go vote if you haven't already for the 2023 awards. Second link is that form for feedback. Let me know what your top 10 is. I'm definitely interested. Then the third link is to the MLW YouTube channel. Be sure to subscribe. You watch all the other videos. I'm currently rewatching the 2020 season. Definitely a lot of fun. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, just going to wrap it up. Thank you so much for tuning into the premiere episode of MLW Vault. I hope you enjoyed. I'll see you all next time. Peace.